Hello friends, welcome back to Adam Education. So yesterday I have posted a video on solving section 1 of 2020 ICSE chemistry question paper. Today we are going to solve the section 2 of the same paper. So let's begin. Number 2. The following table represents the elements and the atomic number. With reference to this, answer the following only using the alphabets given in the table. So we have been given 3 elements and their respective atomic numbers have been given to us in a box. By using these elements and their atomic numbers, we have to answer the 3 questions given below. So a very easy question from the chapter periodic table. So let's see how to solve. So first of all, I am going to write the electronic configuration of each of these elements. So for P it will be 2, 8, 3. For Q it will be 2, 5. And for R it will be 2, 8. Alright. So our first question is, which element combines with hydrogen to form a basic gas? So from the electronic configuration, by now you must have easily understood that the first element is aluminium, the second element is nitrogen, yes it is nitrogen, and the element R is neon. You can either write it or you can directly do it from the electronic configuration. I prefer writing it so that I can easily identify. So which element forms a basic gas with hydrogen? Obviously with hydrogen only nitrogen can combine to form NH3, ammonia, which is a basic gas. So your answer will be Q. Don't write the element name because it has already been said over here that using only the alphabets. So if you write nitrogen in place of Q, you will lose marks. You will not get marks. Your next question is, which element has electron affinity 0? So obviously from all of these we have neon, that is the element R, which has a complete octet configuration. So there is no electron affinity for neon. So our answer will be R. Name the element which forms an ionic compound with chlorine. Now it is very obvious from the electronic configuration only that the answer will be P, because it has 3 electrons in its valence shell. That means it is a metal, and a metal can only form an ionic bond, right? So the answer will be P. So these are the answers to the question number A of question 2. I hope it is clear. Let's move on to the next question. Over here we have to make the electron dot diagram for the compounds which have been given below. We have to use only dot or cross symbol in order to show the electrons. So don't use any symbol of your choice. You will not get marks for that. So calcium oxide, chlorine molecule and water molecule. So let's do it. It's a very easy one. I'm going to use different colors so that you can understand. But while you are giving the exam, use only the pen which you are using. Just make sure you are using the symbols as mentioned. So calcium oxide, so let me make calcium first and oxygen here. So calcium has 2 electrons in its valence shell and oxygen has 6 electrons in its valence shell. So calcium can lose these 2 electrons and oxygen can gain these 2 electrons. So we will have such a structure, Ca2+, and on side we will have oxygen -2. Okay, so this is the structure for calcium oxide, electron dot structure for calcium oxide. I hope it is clear. Let's move on to the next question, chlorine molecule. So this is question number 2 now. Chlorine molecule. That means one chlorine will combine with another chlorine. So chlorine has 7 electrons in its valence shell, we know that. So it requires 1 electron in order to become octet. So it will not take it from chlorine, it will rather share it with the another chlorine. So how will it look after the combination has occurred? It will look like this. So both the chlorines are side by side, and in the middle we will have the electrons which are shared. So one from each chlorine. Those are the shared electrons. So this particular thing, this one, these are the shared pair of electrons where each electron has been contributed by the each chlorine atom. So this is the structure for chlorine molecule. I hope this is clear. This is a question from the chapter chemical bonding, chapter number 2. Let's move on to the next question. We have to draw the structure of water molecule by the electron dot diagram. So H2O, that means 2H and in between we have oxygen. So oxygen has 6 electrons in its valence shell, so it will share 1 electron with each hydrogen. So this is the structure of water. Hydrogen also has 2 electrons now. These are the 2 electrons which are present in the first hydrogen, in this hydrogen. Now these are the 2 electrons which are present in the second hydrogen, and oxygen, if you count, you will have that oxygen has total 8 electrons now, 6 of its own and 2 which are shared by hydrogen. So this is the electron dot structure for water molecule. A very easy question which can easily fetch you 3 marks. I hope this question is also clear. Let's move on to the next question now. Choose the correct word which refers to the process of electrolysis from A to E to match the descriptions from 1 to 4. So you have 4 questions and then you have 5 options. You have to choose the correct answer and write it in the space provided. So very easy. Even in chemistry and biology, most of the questions are MCQ based, where only 1 mark is given for 1 question. So you're not losing a lot of marks even if you're forgetting something. And moreover, it's very easy because the questions which are asked are not in depth. Most of the questions are basic questions, direct questions. So easily in chemistry and biology you will be able to get a lot of marks. In physics, although there are numericals, you have to work a little more, but in case of chemistry and biology, the paper is very easy. So if you study a little bit, you are able to get very good marks. So the first question is, conducts electricity in the aqueous or in the molten state? Obviously the answer will be an electrolyte, because an electrolyte is a compound or a substance which can conduct electricity either when it is dissolved in water or when it is kept in the molten state. So your answer for the first question will be D. Do write the entire answer, D, an electrolyte. Over here I don't have much space, so I am just writing the option, but in your answer sheet please do write the entire answer. Loss of electron takes place at the anode. Basically you know that loss of electrons means oxidation, so you don't have to even consider this phrase. Just loss of electrons. So loss of electrons means oxidation, so the answer will be A, oxidation. Next is a reducing electrode. If you have studied electrolysis chapter nicely, you must know that cathode is known as the reducing electrode, where ions are deposited. So reduction means deposition of ions or deposition of electrons or gaining of electrons. So in which electrode this thing happens? In the cathode itself. So the answer will be B, cathode. Number 4 is electrode which is connected to the positive end of the terminal of the battery. So to the positive end, anode is connected. So number 4's answer will be C, anode. So you should remember what is the cathode and what is the anode to answer these type of questions. It is very important. I hope this question is also clear. These are very direct questions, nothing much to explain. Let's move on to question number 3. Over here we have been said that we have to write the chemical equations for conversion of bauxite to alumina. Bauxite is Al2O3.2H2O. Al2O3.2H2O. This is an ore of aluminium. But in the Bayer's process, or you can say in the production of pure aluminium, we first convert it into aluminium hydroxide and then we convert it into alumina, Al2O3, so that we can easily melt it and not lose a considerable amount of substance, because if we heat it, a lot of it will be lost by vaporization. But now if we heat Al2O3, it will not be lost as much. So the process is known as Bayer's process. You have studied about it in the chapter metallurgy. So we have to write the reactions for the same. So let's do it. So there are 3 reactions. I am just writing the skeletal equation and you will balance it yourself. So the first step is bauxite Al2O3.10H2O. It is treated with NaOH and a temperature of 140 to 150 degrees Celsius is applied, and as a result it is converting into NaAlO2 plus H2O. This reaction is also known to you from the chapter analytical chemistry, I guess. So NaAlO2 we are getting along with water. Now this NaAlO2 will react with water again and it will produce sodium hydroxide NaOH plus AlOH whole thrice, aluminium hydroxide. Now this aluminium hydroxide can be heated at a temperature of 1000 degrees Celsius and we will get our required substance. So AlOH whole thrice, when it is heated at a temperature of 1000 degrees Celsius, we will get alumina Al2O3 and water. So these are the three reactions which are essential for conversion of bauxite alumina in the process known as Beer's process. So a very important procedure, because this is the reason why we are now able to easily get aluminium. This is the reason. So I hope these reactions are clear. Please note down in your copy whatever I am writing. You can also underline it in your book so that you can remember. Now let's move on to another question. Again we have a fill in the blanks and MCQ sort of a question. Let's see. pH of acetic acid is greater than dilute sulfuric acid. So acetic acid contains dash concentration of H plus ions, whether it will be greater, same or low. Now let me tell you one thing. We have a pH scale in which 7 means neutral. Below 7 it means it is acidic in nature, and if it is above 7 it will mean it is basic in nature. So now if there are two compounds X and Y, okay, X has a pH of 6 and Y has a pH of 3, which one will be more acidic? As we are moving from 1 to 7 like this, the acidity is decreasing, right? Because at 7 it is becoming neutral. So out of X and Y, Y will be the more acidic compound. It's very much clear. So over here it has been said that the pH of acetic acid is greater than dilute sulfuric acid. That means let us consider that X is the acetic acid and Y is the dilute sulfuric acid. So obviously X will not be as acidic as Y. X will be not a very good acid, isn't it? So it will have a low amount of H plus ions. We know an acid will be strong because of its amount of hydronium ions present in it. So if acetic acid is not a very good acid, or if its acidity is not as strong as sulfuric acid, obviously the concentration of hydronium ions in it is very low. So the answer will be low. Don't get confused that pH is greater, so how the answer is low. pH is greater means it is moving towards neutrality. Its acidity is not as much as the other one. I hope it is clear. The next question is the indicator which does not change color on passage of HCl gas. Very easy question. Phenolphthalein will be the answer, because phenolphthalein will not change its color in acidic medium. All the others like moist blue litmus paper will show a color change, methyl orange will show a color change, but phenolphthalein does not show any color change when it is given in an acidic medium. So the answer is phenolphthalein. Our next question is an acid which does not act as an oxidizing agent. This is a very direct and a commonsensical question, because you see the options are concentrated H2SO4, concentrated HNO3 and concentrated HCl. You know oxidizing agents are the agents which are able to produce or provide oxygen to the other compounds or to the other substances. So out of all the options, the first two options contain oxygen in it. So they can easily give oxygen to some other substance. But what about HCl? HCl in itself does not have oxygen. So how can it act as an oxidizing agent? So the answer is concentrated HCl. This is the answer. It cannot act as an oxidizing agent. But on the other hand, both concentrated H2SO4 and HNO3, they can both act as oxidizing agents. A very simple question. I hope it is clear. Let's move on to another question. So you have to differentiate between the following pair of substances based on the information given in the bracket. So based on whatever has been given in the bracket, we have to find the differences. We just cannot write anything we want. Only on the basis of the question asked, we have to write. So your first question is differentiate between conductor and electrolyte based on their conducting particles. You know this very well, that in a conductor the electrons are responsible for conducting electricity. Electrons or the free electrons. So you can write that in a conductor the free electrons are the conducting particles, but in case of an electrolyte it is the ions. The ions are responsible for conduction of electricity. So in case of conductor the answer will be free electrons, and for electrolyte the answer will be ions. Next is cations and anions formation from an atom. How is a cation formed from an atom and how is an anion formed from an atom? Very easy and simple question. You know cation is formed by the loss of electrons. and anions are formed by the gain of electrons. So you have to just write this. Cations are formed from the atom by losing of electrons, and anions are formed from the atom by gaining of electrons. That's all. Our next question is acid and alkali formation of the type of ions. Whenever they are dissolved in water, what type of ions they are producing? You know, acid will produce hydronium ions, H3O plus ions, and alkali will form hydroxyl ions or OH minus ions. So you have to just write this, and you are going to get 3 marks for such a simple and basic question. I hope this question is also clear to you. Let's move on to the next question. You have to draw the structures of isomers of pentane. Alright, pentane has 3 isomers. It has been mentioned in your book very well, but even if you don't remember that, you can very easily make it in the examination hall itself. So let's see how to do it. Our first work is to draw a straight chain pentane which is not having any branch. So I am just going to join 5 carbons in a straight line, and accordingly you can place the hydrogen atoms. I am not going to do it. Please do it yourself depending upon the valency of carbon. So this is our normal pentane. It is linked by a straight chain. Now if we consider such a structure where 4 carbons are joined and one of the carbon, like the 5th carbon, is coming and sitting at the secondmost position. This can also be an isomer of pentane because the number of carbons are 5. Alright, you can just fill the valency by using hydrogen. That's up to you. Now there can be another possible structure where 3 carbons are attached to one another, and now this terminal carbon is going and sitting at the second position, and already there was a carbon at the second position, so we are just going to place it. So these are the 3 isomers of pentane. You can just use hydrogen to make the valency complete, and then you got your answer. So it came for 3 marks. A very simple and easy question. So I hope this question is also clear to you all. Let's move on to the next question now. Hydrogen chloride gas is prepared in the laboratory using concentrated sulfuric acid and sodium chloride. Answer the questions that follow based on this reaction. So this is from the chapter hydrogen chloride gas. A very interesting chapter. You get to know a lot of things about this important reagent which we use extensively in the laboratory. So our first question is, give a balanced chemical equation for the reaction with suitable conditions. So suitable conditions means we have to mention the temperature, and if there is any catalyst used, we have to mention that also. But there is no catalyst in that reaction, so we are just going to write the temperature. So the reaction was NaCl sodium chloride plus H2SO4 at the temperature lower than 200 degrees Celsius. You will get NaHSO4 sodium hydrogen sulfate plus HCl, hydrogen chloride gas. So this is the reaction. Now your second question is, why is concentrated sulfuric acid used instead of concentrated nitric acid? If you remember the chapter acid, bases and salts, you have studied that preparation of an acid from a non-volatile acid, from an acid which does not evaporate easily. Sulfuric acid is one of those acids which do not evaporate very easily. It can remain in its liquid form for a very long amount of time. This is the reason that sulfuric acid is used instead of nitric acid, because it is non-volatile in nature. But nitric acid is very volatile, so even before we complete the experiment, it will just get vanished. It's of no use, right? So we are going to use concentrated sulfuric acid because of its non-volatile nature. Now your third question is, how is the gas collected? By the upward displacement of air, because because HCl, hydrogen chloride gas, is heavier than air. So the air will be removed and hydrogen chloride gas will take its place. Upward displacement of air. You can also say downward delivery. It is moving downwards and the air is moving upwards, so you can also write the answer as downward delivery. Upward displacement of air. Okay. Now your fourth question is, name the drying agent not used. Most of the people will not see the word not and they will just write the drying agent which is used. So we don't use which drying agents for this purpose. So the answer will be quicklime or phosphorus pentoxide, P2O5. You can either use quicklime, calcium oxide, or you can also use you cannot use calcium oxide and you cannot use phosphorus pentoxide because they will react with HCl gas and they will form products. So this is the reason we cannot use them. So in order to dry the gas, you have to pass it through concentrated sulfuric acid once again, so that whatever traces of water vapor are present in it will get removed. So I hope this question is also clear to you. Let's move on to the next question, question number 5. You have to distinguish between the following pair of compounds by using a reagent as a chemical test. You don't have to write the reactions. See, in the question you have not been asked to write the reactions anywhere. You just have to write the reagent which can be used and what happens when that reagent is given, so that you can understand the possible changes in color or smell or maybe any other thing. So let's see. Your first question is calcium nitrate and zinc nitrate. Very clearly understandable that we have this question from the chapter analytical chemistry. We know whenever NaOH is added to calcium salt, it will form a white precipitate which is not soluble in excess of NaOH, right? It is given in your book. But in case of zinc salts, whenever you are mixing a zinc salt solution with sodium hydroxide, you will get a gelatinous white precipitate, and on adding excessive NaOH, it will just get dissolved. So you can easily differentiate between calcium nitrate and zinc nitrate by using NaOH. So your answer in this case, the reagent used will be NaOH. Don't forget to mention what changes you will observe. Your next question is ammonium sulfate crystals and sodium sulfate crystals. This is also directly from the chapter analytical chemistry. If we put NaOH solution into ammonium sulfate, a pungent smelling gas, that is ammonia, will be released. But no observation occurs when NaOH is added to sodium sulfate crystals or sodium sulfate solution. So NaOH is the reagent once again which you can use to differentiate between these two compounds. Our third question is magnesium chloride and magnesium nitrate solution. It is from the chapter HCl. You know one thing, whenever HCl or any other metallic chloride is treated with silver nitrate solution AgNO3, it will react to form a white precipitate of silver chloride AgCl. This is the precipitate AgCl. So whenever AgNO3 silver nitrate is added to magnesium chloride or any other metallic chloride or maybe even to HCl, it will form AgCl, a white precipitate, but no observation is seen in magnesium nitrate solution. So using AgNO3, you can easily differentiate between these two compounds. So I hope these questions are also clear to you. You have to be very much well versed with the last 4 chapters related to the various compounds HCl, NH3, HNO3 and H2SO4. Very important. And acid, bases and salts is a must, because a lot of questions can be asked based on the reactions given there. And also analytical chemistry has to be there in your mind, completely situated deeply, because not only it will be required in class 10, but even if you take science in the higher classes, you have to very extensively go through these things once again. So make sure that you are practicing those reactions over and over again, so that they sit in your memory for a very long amount of time. Let's move on to question number B. Now it is a numerical from the chapter mole concept. Very easy one. Calculate the percentage of fluorine, sodium and aluminium in sodium aluminium fluoride Na3AlF6 to the nearest whole number. So let us do it. First of all, let us find the molecular mass of Na3AlF6. So Na3AlF6, 23 into 3 plus 27 plus 19 into 6. On solving, you are going to get 210 as the answer. So these atomic masses will be generally given in the question paper, but make sure that you know the basic atomic masses, like for that of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, all this. So now our first question is percentage of fluorine. So percentage of fluorine is equal to, fluorine is present as 19 into 6, that means 114, divided by 210 into 100. So the answer comes up to 54.28%. Now percentage of sodium. So the amount of sodium present is 69. So 69 divided by 210 into 100. So your answer is 32.8%. You can also write it as 33%. Not an issue. Now the third question is aluminium. Percentage of aluminium. So aluminium was present in the form of just 27 grams. So 27 by 210 into 100. So your answer is 12.85%. So they have been asked for the nearest whole number, right? So let us convert all of them into whole numbers. So this will be 33%, this will be 54%, and this will be 13%. So these are the answers to your question. Very simple question and very easy calculation also. So I hope it is clear to you all. Let's move on to another question. Okay, so we have another numerical here from the chapter mole concept. So state the volume occupied by 40 gram of methane at STP if its vapor density is 8. You know one thing, that molecular mass is equal to 2 into vapor density. So we can directly find out the molecular mass of methane by using 2 into 8, that is 16. Or you can also use the molecular mass finding procedure like we did here and find it. But since we have been given the value of vapor density, we are going to use vapor density. Although the other process will also be correct and you will not lose marks, you will get full marks. So we know molecular mass equals to 2 into vapor density. So 2 into 8, that means the molecular mass of methane is 16. Okay. Now we know one thing, that molecular mass occupies 22.4 liter. That means 16 gram of methane will occupy 22.4 liter. Okay. Now how many grams have been asked? 40 gram. So 40 gram of methane will occupy how much volume? So 22.4 divided by 16 into 40. So now if you solve it, you are going to get 56 liters as your answer. So this is the required answer. I hope it is clear. Okay, then let's move on to the second question. Calculate the number of moles present in 160 gram of NaOH. Let us first find the molecular mass of NaOH. 23 plus 16 plus 1, we get the answer as 40. Okay, so we know number of moles is equal to given mass by molecular mass. So your given mass is 160, your molecular mass is 40, so your answer is 4 moles. Very easy question. 4 moles is your answer, and as soon as you do both these questions, you're going to get 4 marks very easily. Now let's move on to the next question, question number 6. Identify the substance underlined in each of the following. So there are some underlined substances given in the question. You have to just write the answer, what will come in place of the underlined name. The electrode that increases in mass during the electrorefining of silver. So which electrode will have deposition, or which electrode will increase in its size? Obviously the cathode. So cathode is the answer. You can also write the pure silver rod, but cathode would be the much appropriate one. Our next question is the acid that is a dehydrating as well as a drying agent. You all know it. Concentrated H2SO4 is the answer. Make sure you are writing concentrated. Okay. Your next question is the catalyst used to oxidize ammonia to nitric oxide. This is the catalytic oxidation of ammonia. So the answer is platinum. You can check it in your book. It is from the chapter ammonia. This procedure is also known as the catalytic oxidation of ammonia. Okay, let's move on to the next question now. You have to complete the following paragraph by using the options given in the bracket. A very easy question. Alkenes are homologous series of unsaturated hydrocarbons. They are unsaturated because their valency, although is complete, but they are very much reactive. They have a tendency to react with various types of reagents. So they are unsaturated in nature. They are unsatisfied actually. They have a general formula CnH2n, and they undergo addition reaction. Substitution reaction is only undergone by alkanes, but both alkenes and alkynes, they undergo addition reactions. And they undergo hydrogenation to form alkanes. They will react with hydrogen in the presence of nickel to produce alkanes. So the answer is hydrogenation. Now let's move on to the last question in our paper. You might see that I have not included a lot of questions because those are not there in the syllabus, so don't freak out. We are doing everything which is present in your syllabus for now. Name the following elements. An alkaline earth metal present in group 2 and period 3. So group 2, that means it will have 2 electrons in its valence shell, and period 3, that means it will have 3 shells. So 2, 8, 2. This will be the electronic configuration. and therefore the atomic number is 12. We know the atomic number 12 is for magnesium, so the answer is magnesium. You don't have to memorize anything. Use simple tricks in order to find out the answer. Okay. Now our next question is a trivalent metal used for making light tools. You just know one trivalent metal in your syllabus, and moreover you know that it is used to make light tools because of its lightweight property. So the answer will be aluminium. Our next question is a monovalent non-metal present in fluorspar. Non-metal is fluorine. Monovalent, that means a single valency. So the answer will be fluorine. Please don't write Mg, Al and F. Write the full names. Now the last question is based on electrolysis. It is the process of electroplating of, no, it is the process of electro-refining of nickel, most probably. Yeah. Okay, let's do it. What do you observe at the cathode and at the anode respectively? So as you can see that the electrolyte is aqueous nickel sulfate, the anode is made up of nickel, the cathode is made up of nickel. That means it is a process of either electro-refining or electroplating, either. So what will happen at the cathode? At the cathode, deposition will occur. So slowly at the end of, this is not cathode, this is the cathode. So at the end of the reaction, the cathode will increase its size, but the anode will reduce in its size. The anode will become thinner, but the cathode will become thicker due to deposition of nickel. So this is the answer for the first question. Now the second question is name the cation that remains as a spectator ion in the solution. So you have nickel sulfate in the aqueous form. That means you will have nickel ion Ni2 plus, you will have sulfate ion SO4 2 minus, and since water is also there, you will have H plus and OH minus. So nickel is going to the cathode. So which cation is remaining in the solution and it will act as a spectator ion? Obviously hydrogen. So hydrogen ion is the answer. Okay. Now your last question is which equation for the reaction at the anode is correct? So at the anode, which reaction actually occurs out of the four options given here? So at the anode, we know anode will lose electrons. So Ni minus 2 electrons, it will produce Ni2 plus. But over here, as you see, there is no negative sign on the left hand side. So I have to take these electrons to the right hand side. So I will have nickel ion plus 2 electrons. So which one is the answer here? This is the answer, isn't it? So option number 1 is the correct answer. So with this, we have finally successfully completed 2020 chemistry question paper. It was a very easy question paper, and most of the questions were MCQ based and directly from the book. You don't have to think much while answering if you are well prepared. So I hope you have understood whatever we have done. If there are any sort of doubt from the book or from the question paper which we solved, please feel free to send your doubts in the email provided in the description box, or you can also write down comments after the video gets uploaded. And keep studying because your exam is knocking at your door. There is not much time left. So all the best for your exams, for your hard work, and keep studying. Thank you for patiently listening to me. Bye bye everyone.